Hi, and welcome to With PKS You Can. My name is Fabio, and today we will show you how you can use PKS to manage your networking and security integration for Kubernetes. So let's get started. As usual, I have my Kubernetes cluster here, configured with Pivotal Container Service, and I wanted to show you how NSXT, our software-defined networking for Kubernetes inside PKS, is managing my networking part. So if I see the machine building up my cluster, my Kubernetes cluster, I can see that the RIP are managed by NSXT. In fact, if I go to the NSXT EPAM, I can see that these ranges are managed by NSXT. So whenever I create a cluster, Kubernetes will get IPs from NSXT, and PKS will configure that for me. But not only that, if I deploy an application, in this case I have the usual application, the Yelp application that I used in the past, even this application that uses a load balancer, that load balancer is provided by NSXT and is created automatically whenever I deploy my application asking for a load balancer. So you can see that the application here is responding to a .22 address, and the application is available outside of the Kubernetes cluster, and I can use it as usual to vote my favorite restaurant. But what is more important is that inside NSXT, I can see that the load balancer has been created for me automatically by PKS and with this integration with NSXT. So you can see here that I have a load balancer which is called Yelp something, and has a virtual server configured for that. So this is the power of having straight from the box integration with PKS and NSXT. I can also expand that. So if I create a new namespace, at the moment I don't have namespace, I will create a namespace called Kyoto, which, if you ask me, is my nickname. Before creating it, if I go to the switching part, so the logical switches that NSXT has built for me, I see that I have some created by PKS, but there is no Kyoto branded switch in this. As soon as I create a namespace, I can see by refreshing my NSXT view of the switches that switch will be created. So every time I have a namespace, NSXT will make sure that this is isolated on its own VXLAN and automatically created without me hitting the keyboard. But let's expand on that, and let's see how we can configure security policies with NSXT and PKS. So when it comes to creating policies, here I have the involvement of my distributed firewall. So I will be creating a network policy, and that network policy will translate into a firewall rule. At the moment, I don't have firewall rules that are coming from PKS. These are the basic one that gets configured when I install it. And if I want to configure a network policy, in this case, a network policy that let a database and the front end communicate just over port 80 TCP, all I have to do from the Kubernetes side is apply this YAML that defines the network policy. So I will go on and configure that with the kube control apply -f name of the YAML file. In this case, NSX security, NSX pod policy, yes. And then I can see that the network policy is in effect, but what's more important is that it will be immediately translated into a rule that will sit on top of my NSXT distributed firewall, the one that you can see there. So let's now deploy an application that will use this network policy. I will deploy an application with two pods, one database and one front end, nginx. So I deploy the YAML, and I can see that that application is running in my namespace called Kyoto. Using -oy, I can get more details around the application, like the IPs and all these kind of things. And what I will be doing right now is to trace the packet to see if my policy is working. So as you can see here, I can select a logical port, which translates in this case to containers running on top of my platform. I have a lot of containers running here. Actually, the one from PKS is also from PAS in my setup. So I have a lot of container images here. So to pick the right one, I will refer to the name. So something like nginx -x, yes. And then the destination, it will be something like database something, database minus logical port, and then database -5, 9, there we go. So now we'll say that I want to trace TCP kind of traffic, and I want to use the destination port 79, which is a port that should be blocked. So if I trace it, as you can see, the packet got dropped. So the port is not the right one, the machines are the right ones. Now we'll change the source to a machine that should not be entitled to reach the database. That machine will be, I don't know, the Kubernetes dashboard in this case. And I will put the right port, so port 80, to see that a machine that is not configuring the network policy is not allowed to communicate with my database. So let's put destination port 80, and again, my packet will be dropped. Now let's configure the right thing. So nginx frontend reaching my database on port 80. And in this case, the packet should be successful and be delivered without hitting my firewall rules. And there we go. As you can see, we saw how PKS can leverage NSXT to manage all your security and networking integration. Thank you very much, and see you at the next video. Bye.